going on, everybody? Welcome to the Understand the Hustle podcast. You got here myself, Mark Severe, Devin Shaw, Ali Brady in the house today. We are the hosts of this podcast show. Right here, this is the intro. We want to just kind of discuss a little bit about what our vision is in regards to this podcast, what we want to take this to, what type of audience we're trying to reach out to, just so that way we can make sure that we can open this up on the right way and the right way possible. Um, we're going to speak about a lot of real topics, a lot of conversation that are being held, behind the scenes that people just really don't want to put out there, but we want to put it out to multiple people touching all different, parts of the world, the United States, however we need to get to, however far we can reach, just so that way that we can make sure everybody's opinions heard. These discussions could be very thorough and we can understand everybody's issues and problems and situations that they go through. But we want to talk about that. We want to open that up. I'm going to go ahead and give it to Devin so he can kind of give a bit of his background to kind of go ahead, so that way you can understand who we are and, what we're trying to push towards. And so that way that you can look at us as relatable situations.
Like Mark was saying, my name is Devin Shaw. So kind of my upbringing here. So pretty good, being raised throughout. Both parents work corporate jobs, huge sports background, football pretty much my entire life from elementary school. So throughout this whole journey, seeing my parents work hard, both in the business space, I always knew I wanted to do business. Didn't really know what I wanted to do in business. Didn't really know the path I wanted to take. But just through different relationships and encounters throughout all my years, one thing I kind of found was I kind of wanted to go the entrepreneurship route. Kind of wanted to do my own thing, set my own schedule, pretty much determine my own pay and all that type of stuff. So throughout college, did a few different things. I had a pancake challenge, used to sell pancakes for $1, used to sell bacon and egg tacos, used to sell Powerades, all types of stuff. After graduating, my mom had a marketing company, so worked at her company for about 2-3 years doing sales. Found out I love doing sales. So sales is a huge part of entrepreneurship, selling yourself, selling products. That's the way you kind of move forward. So after doing that, started up a eBay business selling RC car parts. That business actually did pretty good, $1,000 to $5,000 every single day. It actually really grew to the point where the company I was selling for ended up taking the idea and kind of cutting me out. So basically cutting out the middleman, then just taking it all the way there. So after that, ended up getting married, having a child. Once we had a child, had to kind of go the 9 to 5 route. And that's what I'm doing now. So currently working a 9 to 5, doing that, but trying to really push back to the entrepreneurship. So with this whole podcast being understand the hustle, I definitely understand that now that I'm trying to work a day job. Once you get home, you got kids, you got a wife, and then still trying to build on your own companies and everything else. So that's kind of my background throughout this journey where I'm at now. And I guess we'll go to Mark next.
Appreciate that. Well, yeah, my name is Mark Severe, born and raised in Texas, San Antonio, Texas. Um, it's to the point, my life is a little bit different than Devin's. I've grown up in a single mother home. It was to the point it was me and my little sister for the longest while, and then all of a sudden had a little brother that came around. Uh, it was a tough journey there just because of the fact that you're trying to grow up as a young man to be, try to lead your home in the best way that you can possibly know. Even though you not may not have that, example at home with your father like you usually would, but I was able to pick it up because I had a grandparents, I had uncles that was able to teach me and help me understand that. And then of course when my dad was able to come around, we built a great relationship. I learned a lot of things from him. He's my biggest insight when it comes to trying to do something separately outside of just that 9 to 5, because he's been doing nothing but hustling entrepreneurship all his life. That's just what he's been about, what he's continuously pushed in his journey to be able to, be with financial freedom. My mother, she was strong in certain ways that, I can't even explain, just because of the fact that she sacrificed a lot, just not only for myself, but, for my other siblings. And it gave me the power to want to do the big things, go through the hard process, because of the fact that, whenever you go through the hard processes, things happen, good things happen, and you just never know. So my biggest thing was always sports to get away. Football, biggest thing, basketball, track will say I did it all, and it was the biggest thing that led me to want to go to college to figure out what to do in my life, to figure out, hey, how can I do something to do better to give back to the people who took care of me and, the people who tend to always push me into the right direction. Going through college, I went through my ups and downs. I've got in situations where it's to the point that I've made sure, I put myself in bad positions to the point that legally, it hurt me, but it's to the point from those legal situations that I went through have helped me and understood to build more for myself than what I was, doing within college. So I continuously, try to push to learn, try to, push to figure out what's the next thing to do, try to educate myself as much as possible because, education is something that nobody can take away from you. And, biggest thing is I always did was try to surround myself with the biggest, the best people, smarter people because of the fact that if I'm surrounding myself with people that I'm smarter than, I'm not learning anything. So that's why I continue to, to run with these guys, Devin and Ali, and then of course, try to see if I can always see other people or kind of look up, what they're doing, just so that way I can make sure I understand. But that's just what my life's been about and what my grind is continuously been about. And me having a kid, now stepson, I have a fiance, so 9 to 5 is what my daily thing is now, and then of course coming home, being a father, trying to do what I need to do, going to sports events on the weekend and stuff. So I'm very busy. And just of course wanting to be able to make that initial push and be able to move into those right directions so then that way I can have that financial freedom, but then the actual time to say, hey, I can speak, spend with my family.
All right. So I'm Ollie Brady. I'm kind of similar to Mark. I come from a single parent household, but in a different dynamic. Raised with my grandma, really. So my mom had like 3 jobs up until I got probably like deep in elementary school, and she worked at the post office. For me, it was a different dynamic in the fact that I was raised by a real religious grandmother. So I kind of just had to figure things out on my own. I didn't really know. I knew who my dad was, came around when I was younger, seen him from time to time, but I ain't really had no relationship with him. Never really built no relationship with him. He passed away when I was in college. I mean, I tell everybody, if you got a chance to interact with your parents and stuff, even if they wasn't around when you was younger, go ahead and build that bond because you don't know the situations. As you get older, you might learn the situation wasn't what you thought it was. So I just always like to put that out there for anybody, that might be going through the same situation. I mean, do I think, I wish it was better when coming up? Yeah. But I wouldn't trade it for the world. I learned a lot just kind of having to go out and get it on my own, having to figure out certain things, having to like look around for that male figure of what's right and I mean even what's wrong. I mean you'll pick that up. I mean it's all about ethics and your morals, and you build that moral compass. I mean I'm not the most religious human being in the world by no means, but I do understand everything going on in that space. My grandma, she instilled that in me to the T, like from birth. So uh, that was just kind of like my path coming up. Seeing my mom. I moved in with my mom back when I got in high school, so I was kind of bouncing around apartment to apartment and stuff, figuring it out. I wasn't in the hood per se, and nothing like that. It was decent enough. I always found a way to make friends and stuff wherever I was at. Found my mom put me in football, and for that I'm grateful. At the time, I didn't know I liked it the way I did, and then it turned into a love for the game, and that kind of shaped my path and my journey, I guess you could say. Uh, I always had some type of entrepreneur thing in me, from selling little candy and stuff at the schoolhouse or whatever, just trying to find a way to get money. I don't care if it was a couple quarters. It didn't matter to me. I was just trying to get to the bag. And you don't think about it back then, you just trying to figure out a way. And I mean, maybe because I ain't come from no money like that. Like people might see me now and I think, oh, you came from money, but nah, I ain't really had nothing like that. So you just got to figure it out, get it the way you live. I preached it for my mom and stuff. She was working like crazy, so I ain't while I wasn't necessarily raised by her, I mean, she was still present and stuff and always there for me. And I mean, even still, to this day, my relation with my mom done grown way better than what I thought it could be. I'd have been through different journeys. I'd have been kicked out. I'd have seen every situation you could think of. I'd have been kicked out the crib, had to go move back in with my grandma, and just a crazy journey. I mean, we'll just go chronologically. I got from elementary. I was with my grandma. Middle school, I I was rough. I mean, for whatever reason, I was a bad kid. Uh, Talking about kicked out of one school. My mom tried to do it right, put me in a private school. That didn't work out. Got kicked out. Then I end up at a school pretty much in the hood because that's where I was on to. You got to figure it out. I seen my first pregnant girl in seventh grade, and it was like a reality check. So we fast forward. Luckily I was smart, and I had to step away from sports for a couple years with that whole little journey. And then fast forward, I got into this middle school in eighth grade where I met a few people that I've kept in touch with to this day. And that kind of transitioned me where my mom and my stepdad, they end up getting the house and stuff for my little sister and all that. And I moved in with them so I could just have a better chance of going to a good school and, playing football and stuff. That kind of kept me somewhat disciplined, but hell, I was still bad in high school. But your parents try to force you in. My mom always was big on grades and education and stuff, but she tried to force me into the AP honors lifestyle, and I mean, I did it, but school wasn't for me. I like to say, I mean, it was cool just to go hang out and stuff because it was an escape from what's going on. Sometimes you ain't got stuff to do at the crib when you just by yourself trying to figure it out, and your parents working 12, 13 hours a day, and you just there. And I mean, I used to watch my sister and stuff, and that's just kind of my journey. High school was just different, and the second football kept me. It was just a way to be able to do something different and something you was good at and you was passionate about. And oftentimes in the black community, that's all everybody think. You big, we black men go play sports, go try to go pro. And I mean, I'll say my mom, she was a little bit different. I mean, she did force me into the football realm when I was younger, but I loved it. I mean, and moving forward, sh- education was cool and all. And I mean, I was smart, but that's like I said, that ain't for everybody. And everybody don't want to be. Everybody ain't the nerds or whatever. I'm saying there's nothing wrong with being that. It ain't for everybody. We fast forward. I looked up. I actually came across Coach Brantley. Shout out to him. That was kind of what I saw like a man is supposed to be. I'll say, at least from the realm of just football and stuff. And you see other people in your life, and you pick up on certain things, like I mentioned earlier. But I will say, football teaches you a lot of life lessons, and being around that male positive figures with your coaches and stuff like that, you figure out how to navigate per se. You learn certain lessons that can't be taught, and coming from single parent households and stuff. And I mean, even when my stepdad came in the picture, which I mean, we wasn't on the greatest of no terms and nothing like that when coming up and nothing. But I mean, it's better now. You realize that your mom can't really raise you to be no man, so you really do need, like anybody out there, you need some type of male figure. And if you got kids out there, you're a single mother or whatever, like try to put some positive male figures in your kids' life, especially if you have a son. Like, even if you got a daughter, it's key, it's important. And I say, transitioning to college, where Coach Bradley, the coach that ended up taking over at when I went to Elkins, he took over, got me opportunity to get a scholarship and stuff, and go play out at Kingsville with Devin and Mark. And that's where everything kind of really changed for me. You start building relationships, you start figuring out, yeah, I did the crazy partying and all that, and being silly, and going in and thinking I was going to do one thing, starting off decent grades, then start failing and brushing stuff off, partying, and you get yourself in order. And then, we fast forward a few years later, my senior year, my last year in college, my dad passed away, my biological dad. And at this time, you don't think it'll shake you up like that, but even because you don't know him, but it hit me hard. And I mean, I appreciate all my guys out there. Like, they had already graduated, but it was a lot of people, I had the support on my team and stuff like that. And I appreciate that to this day. and you get out in the real world, and then life hits you. And this is where, like Devin hooked me up, man. I appreciate him. He don't even realize it. Mom gave me a chance, got me into that sales world. And that was allowing me to figure out different things of that nature, and how to sell myself. And I mean, even though it was printing stuff, like you understand, like if you could sell certain things in a realm where it's kind of on a decline, you can make it happen with whatever. So today, that's where I'm at. I got my 9 to 5, well, my second shift, my 2 to 10. And, in the morning I wake up, I got into the realm of stocks. I'd have done crypto. You could ask these guys. I'd have done any type of investor you could think of, any type of way to get some fast money. I'd have done it, decently successful at it. I'd have failed at it. I take all the little beatings. It don't matter to me. I'm just trying to figure it out as I go. And I kind of found me a little home in stocks. So I do the stocks. I'm in the crypto game now. I do that by day, by night. I take my ass to work. Got to get the check. And I'm just trying to, I developed Wealth for the Culture. That's my personal brand, and that was more so along the lines of trying to build generational wealth, but more specifically in the Black community, because, like I mentioned, single parent household, they ain't got time to, your mom ain't got time to use that situation. They don't have time to instill in you, or teach you about finances or just other hustles in general, because they don't know, because they busy out grinding trying to just make, salav. You're not really trying to figure out nothing else. So I think it's just big to kind of give back. That way, these two guys got kids. When I get a kid of my own, I'll have a foundation that I could, build into them and pay it forward. That way, the goal is always have your kids and whoever come after you start a little bit further ahead in that race that you did. Being Black, being a man, you learn. You already start off with 2 strikes against you, and so you got to maneuver, and you got to be just as good as anybody else. So I created that platform just to give back to just all Black people in general, any way I can, providing information for free, if take a step further, just trying to give back and help those that they may not know. You don't know what you don't know, and you learn that as you get older, when you start maneuvering in this game of life, and then you realize it is just a game, and you got to play it like those people that you're trying to be like and want to emulate. So that's my personal brand, and now we've got this understand the hustle. That's something I understand. I've done the working 15-hour days, coming home, doing another 3, 4, 5 hours of research on some stuff, to invest. I've done all of that. I've put in the work. I've done the grind and all of that. So, to be able to share the stage with these guys, on a platform, to be able to give back to the community is big for me. And we're just gonna see where this goes, because I'm telling you, give all of us hell. Anybody I come in contact with that I really mess with, just give us a few years, and y'all gonna see, man. Y'all follow us on this journey, and I'm gonna just leave it at that.
And just keep in mind, guys, like we still on the journey. We come here, we still like right in the midst of still trying to make that push. But of course, we still want to talk about the journey that we've already been on, and what we're continuously doing. And that's why this is going to continue to keep going and flourishing, day to day, month to month, year to year, however long it takes. But, at the end of the day, we're going to be here. We're going to give the information as possible. We're going to have real conversations, real talks. And then that's just what's going to be. So I do appreciate y'all checking in on the introduction. Mr. Understand the Hustle.